everyone, and welcome in. Thank you for having me. And Courtney, as always, thank you for providing this community and space for us to gather and learn. My name is Taylor Marie. I'm also known as BlackMoonTaylor. Hello, Michelle. I am the founder of my business, BlackMoonTaylor. I am an astrologer and tarot reader, and today I want to do an introduction into all of our natal charts and understanding some of the basics of our charts and how to even begin to look at our chart and start to understand it. I want to break it down to a beginner level in a way that's super easy to understand, that's not intimidating whatsoever or overwhelming. So I am going to show all of you how to cast your birth chart, and then we're going to go over some things to look at. And then the super fun part is that we're going to learn about specifically our chart ruler, and we're going to do an activity towards the end where everyone's going to be able to have this unique fact and information about their chart to go home with and build upon. And it's going to be unique to you in your specific chart. So I'm super excited about that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I will bounce back and forth between my PowerPoint and my and the internet so I could show you how to pull up and cast your chart. But that being said, I just want to double check with you guys to see if you could see my presentation and my mouse. Are both of those things visible? Okay, perfect.
You're good. Yeah.
Awesome. So everyone, welcome to Intro to Your Birth Chart, your chart ruler. I am going to do my best to keep an eye on the chat if you guys have questions, but I am going to do question checkpoints. So every time we do something and make a move, I will take a minute just to assess to make sure that we're all following. I did put this together with the intent of taking enough time to make sure that we all know how to pull up our birth charts, because that's really important. So the first thing that I want to do is just introduce a little bit of the foundation of my work. I do like to open up with a little bit of my background. I do think that it's very important to know who you're learning from and what's about them. So like I said earlier, I'm the founder of BlackMoonTaylor. It's my personal brand entity and business. I'm the author of The Story of Tarot, Not Your Average Guidebook. I'm a professional astro tarot reader of 5+ years. I did get my master's in clinical mental health counseling. So a lot of my work, well, all of my work is based off of the helping/counseling profession. So I am very big on evidence-based practices. I do have a very strong focus on practical knowledge, wellness, and helping you facilitate insight and plans moving forward. Like that's my whole background. So I do combine a lot of spirituality with practicality. I did create my tarot course, and I am the author of my master's thesis, which is about the Enneagram. And that has a basis in psychospirituality and how a connection to your spirituality is one of the 8 dimensions of wellness, and how it's actually super beneficial to be connected to something greater than the self. And a lot of the times that comes out in tarot and astrology. So that's just a little bit of my background and foundation of my work. The purpose and goal of meeting today and doing this presentation is to learn how to cast our charts. So in this picture to the right, I want everyone to be able to pull up their chart and see something that looks just like this, but based off of your information. The second thing I want to do is to learn the basics about our individual charts. So we're just going to go over just some basic knowledge that everyone can apply to their chart today. And then the last thing that I want to do is understand our chart rulers. So this image on the left here, I put this here to show that this is the main house that we are going to be looking at today. When we go through our chart ruler, this is considered the first house. So you'll see the number 1 there on your chart. You could see it in the image on the right as well. And this little section here is what we will be focusing on, and we'll dive deeper into that later once we get to that point. What you'll need today to follow along. Now, if you don't have access to astro.com today for whatever reason, or you don't have access to some of this information for whatever reason, this is being recorded and you will be able to watch it again. So if you miss anything today, or you need to get your birth time and come back to this information, you're not going to miss out on it because it will be recorded and provided to you as well. So no stress, no worries. regardless, we're still going to have fun. This is going to be awesome. But what you'll need is access to astro.com. So any web browser that you use, that is the website that we will be going to cast our charts. You could do this on a computer, laptop, smartphone. I would say it's probably easiest to do on a laptop because it's a web page. You'll want to have a pen and paper to take any notes that you want to remember, as well as for our astro activity later. So gather that. You'll need your date of birth, your time of birth, and your location of birth to cast your birth chart, and instructions are recorded for replays. So if you guys want to gather those things, get situated, get comfortable, this is the instructions written out on how to cast your chart, which is super interesting and not fun to read through like this, but I'm going to walk you through it now. So this is the part where I am going to X out of the PowerPoint and bring it over to the internet, and then I'm going to go to astro.com and we're going to do it together. So I'll give everyone just like a minute to get situated and ready to go as I get myself set up as well. So what you'll want to do is the Zoom thing, sorry, is like in my way. There we go. Can everyone see my Google screen now? Okay, perfect, beautiful. So you will want to go to astro.com. You'll want to spell it correctly, unlike me. And when you go to astro.com, this is the first thing that you will see. Like this should be the home screen. So I just want to do a really quick check-in and just make sure that everyone is here and didn't have any issues getting to this point. I don't know if anyone wants to put like a thumbs up or or Courtney could give me a nod if we're in a good space, but this is step number one. This is what it looks like, astro.com, super easy. The second thing that we're going to want to do is that we're going to want to go to this section. Thank you for the thumbs up, guys. That's really helpful because I can't see anyone. The next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to go to this section called charts and calculations. We'll want to click that. And then it will bring you to this page that says free charts, calculation, and data. A lot of the time, ads will pop up towards the bottom of your screen. I just consistently X out of them because they're distracting. So when you scroll down, it will say charts, drawings, and calculations. You'll want to go to extended chart selection. So this is where you will want to go, and we'll click that. Now, this is where you guys might get a different screen than me because I already have an Astro account. Let me see, I see something coming through. Where is the charts and calculations? Good question. So when you go to astro.com, it's right in the beginning. So you go to astro.com right there, click enter. On the home page, it will say the art of astrology. Underneath that, there'll be all of these different options. You'll want to go to charts and calculations. So when you find that, just let me know, and then we could move forward from there. But it's right on the home page. Sometimes it's a little confusing to navigate. Okay, got it. Thanks, Taylor. Oh, you're very welcome. So yes, charts and calculations. Once you click extended chart selection, this is where your page might look a little different than mine because I already have an account set up. It should say either enter your birth information or log in and create an account. So this is where you could either not create an account and type in your information and pull up your chart like that. If you want to create an account, I do recommend doing that because it will save your information and then you don't have to plug it in every time. When you go to plug in your information, it should look like this. So I just want to make sure that everyone at least gets to this point, and then we'll take some time to type out our information. And I'm kind of doxing myself with this, but it's fine. It will ask for your first name, your last name, Gender is interesting because whether you put female, male, event slash other, it doesn't make a difference in your chart. It doesn't cast the chart any differently. What's interesting about event or other, this is something that you would click if you are trying to cast an electional chart, which is casting the chart of your business or of a legal contract. Like, for example, if you were to LLC your business, the date, time, and location are the information you need to cast an electional chart because your business has a birth chart. So you could select event or other for that. Now, for me personally, I'm still working on an LLC, but with the day and time and location that I bought my BlackMoonTaylor domain, that's the natal chart of my website. So my website has a natal chart. So if anyone here has a website or a business or anything that they signed or made official, if you have the date, time, and location for that thing, you could run a natal chart on that thing. And that's when you would click event or other, which we could totally do a panel on that one of these days. But for now, we'll probably just want to stick to um, like casting it for ourselves, but just fun fact in there while everyone's getting all set up. You'll want to punch in your birthday, birth month, birth year, the time. When you click the time, just make sure you have the correct AM or PM. That is very important. It will make a huge difference. Yes, would love to hear a panel on this. Yes, Matt, I would be very happy to do so. It's funny, my tarot book, I casted the natal chart for my book, and Gemini is the sign of reading, writing, of literature, and my book is a Gemini rising. So I just thought that was really funny. And then you'll want to put your birth town. So this is the town in which you were born, not where you live right now. That would be your relocated chart. We're talking about the town in which you were born. We will absolutely make that happen. Yes. So, how is everyone doing in terms of setting up an account slash entering your information? Either let me know if you're good, let me know if you need more time, let me know if I could help in any way. Michelle's good, Michelle's doing good. I don't want anyone to feel rushed or left behind. So I just want to make sure that we're all there. Okay, done. Perfect. Thank you. Once I get a general gist of, everyone being done, we could definitely move on from there. There was one more thing that I wanted to say about pulling up your chart. Oh, yes. If you have, like I said, if you have an account on astro.com, you could store your chart information, your friends and family's chart information, your partners, obviously with consent. Consent is key when pulling up people's info. But I ended up in extended chart entry. Did I get ahead? That is where you should be, Laura. Laura, did you punch in your information and then click continue? What do we put for chart drawing style? Okay, so I think everyone's ahead of me now. I think everyone that's asking these questions has put in their information and clicked continue. So I do extended chart selection. I think this is what Laura was asking. Extended chart entry. Did I get ahead? Does everyone see a screen that looks like this? Once you put in your information, you hit save and continue. It should have your name. It should have all of this fun stuff. Yes? Okay, perfect. Beautiful. So I'm going to move forward in terms of explaining how to set up casting your chart. Because if you were here for the last astrology panel, there are multiple ways that you could cast a chart. For example, you could cast a tropical chart. You could cast a sidereal chart. Rather than whole signs, you could do placidus. You could do equal signs. You could do actually any of these, which is a lot. So these are the settings that I recommend. These are the settings in which I read. These are the settings in which I am able to teach very efficiently. And the type of astrology that I do is Western tropical whole sign houses astrology. So that is what I'm going to be teaching today, but I will leave some room to do other settings if that's the type of astrology that you prefer. If you want to do it the way that I do it, then just follow right here. Um, and we're going to go through everything. So your name is going to be up here. That's showing that you're casting your chart. First section, you want to do round because the round chart is literally the chart that we are pulling up. Everything else has a separate meaning. We're not going to worry about that today. If you want to pull up a regular birth chart, just leave it on round. It should be the automatic setting. Your chart type. Now, today we are pulling up our natal chart wheel. That should also be the default setting. However, as you could see, there are so many different charts that you could cast. And I would be happy to do more panels on your relocated chart, your progressed chart, all of that stuff. I would be happy to do that. But today we're just going to focus on natal chart wheel. Chart drawing style, we're going to keep it as web default style. So we're going to keep that the same. It should automatically give you the start date as today's date. So today is July 15th, 2024. This is where you would go forward in time or backwards in time to see the transits and how they're affecting your natal chart. So this isn't your birthday, this is the current day, and this is to see what the planets are doing in the sky right now. If you want to see what the planets are doing in the sky a month from now, you could change it to August. You could change it to September. You could change the year. You basically, this is how you time travel. This is how you look at things in divine timing in astrology. So that is the first section. Moving on and moving down to zodiac and houses. Like I said, I practice with whole sign house system. This is what I recommend beginners to start out with because it's one of the easier house systems to read. If you are more experienced, if you are intermediate, if you are advanced and you use Placidus, that's amazing. We'll use that. The chart ruler is based off of whole sign house system though. So I am trying to be inclusive of like all the house systems, but this is like the easiest way to do it. So I would recommend putting whole signs in a roundabout way to say all of that. Tropical will automatically be selected. Oh, and another thing too, default and Placidus. Placidus is the default. So I go in and I change it to whole signs. So for all of you, if you're doing this for the first time, it'll probably say default. That means it's going to default to Placidus, but I go in and I change it to whole sign house system. And there's a way to save your settings as well, so you don't have to do this every time, and we'll go through that too. But we're going to keep the zodiac at tropical. We're going to keep it at geocentric. And that's all you need for this section. For down here, display and calculation options. Now, this is a little advanced because this adds things to your chart. For example, the decans is a bit of an advanced technique, and your true node, which is your north node, and your descending node, which is your south node, again, something that is a little bit advanced, and we're not going to talk about them today, but I use them, which is why they're checked off. So if you want to check them off and cast your chart the same way that I cast my chart, you're welcome to. I am able to talk about it and teach about it in the future. So if you want to be already set up for that, then you could check these off, but you don't have to. If you want to keep it simple, if you want to keep it clean, thanks so much. I have to drop off, but this is lovely information. I look forward to watching the recording, and thanks again. Oh, you're very welcome, Ebony. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. So that's it for this section. And if you want to play around with any of this from time to time, you're more than welcome to, but I only use these 3 settings. Coming down to additional objects, this is where you could add asteroids if you want to use asteroids. And this is where you could manually enter asteroids. And this is where you could select asteroids from this list here. Now, today we are not going to talk about any of the asteroids. These are the ones that I use, and these are the ones that I select and have saved for when I do readings for y'all. These are the asteroids that I know about, that I pay particular attention to at times. But since we're only doing the chart ruler today, you guys do not need asteroids. If you would like to add them, you are welcome to. not a requirement. In terms of default settings down here, leave everything the same. The only reason that you would ever need to use a reference place is if you are casting a relocated chart, which means that you live in a different place than when you were born. You will put that place in the reference place and it will pull up your new relocated chart as a result of that. But we don't even have to worry about that today. We're just pulling up our basic natal chart. And once we have all of our settings the way that we want them, the way that we feel good and confident going into it, we could scroll back to the top, and towards the right, there's going to be this green bar right here that says show the chart. And that's when you would click that. And then it should show you your natal chart, and you should be able to see the circle with the 12 houses and all of the signs. You might not have as many icons. I guess I'll call these like icons in the thing because, like I said, I have houses involved. I mean, I have asteroids involved and whatnot. Let's see how we have the number, that intro manual. How we have the number, that intro manual. How, oh, are you asking about manually entering the numbers for the asteroids? Like right here, the manual entry. So you could actually look at the asteroid name slash number list, and there are over 24,000 asteroids that you could look at. And basically, they are organized in alphabetical order. So if you're looking for a specific asteroid, you would just click, the letter that it starts with. And then all of these right here are asteroids that you can calculate. And they will give you the number. And then you put that number into here. And then that's how you'll calculate the manual asteroids. The last slice, yes. Perfect, beautiful. No, that was a really good question for anyone who's advanced or knows that they'll want to do this in the future. My way of adding asteroids manually is I would be studying astrology, whether it's in books or online, and someone will mention an asteroid. And I'll be like, whoa, that sounds really cool. So then I would go in here and look for the specific asteroid, find the code, put it in, and then study it in my chart from there. You're very welcome. So how is everyone doing? Now, this is the most important part, is having our charts. So I want to do a check-in and just make sure that everyone was able to pull up their chart and now they could see this information here. Yes, perfect. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Chosen. Thank you, Lydian. Okay, so it seems like we're all here, which is awesome. You guys are doing great, by the way. For all of us, like not being physically in a room together, like I think we're doing great. So I'll give it, gonna use a different website source. Okay, Gary, that sounds good. Yeah, sometimes it really depends on, which browser you prefer. I feel like the astro.com website is pretty compatible with most website interfaces, I guess is how I would say that. And while we are settling into pulling up our charts, I will just outline some things in the charts that are super simple. So earlier we talked about the first house represented by this number 1 here being a main focus for us moving forward. So if you want to find your first house and take note of what the sign is, just keep that on your second channel. Kind of observe, are there any, planets or signs in there? That being said, these icons within your chart represents planets, asteroids, and mathematical points. Today, we're going to be focusing on planets only. So for example, you could see in my 7th house here, I have my sun, Mars, Mercury, and Saturn all in my Aries 7th house here. And these are all major planets that every astrologer will look at. So when you see the icons in the houses, this is planetary bodies and where they are placed in your chart. Numbers 1 through 12 in this circle here in your natal chart represent houses 1 through 12. Each of the houses represent a different area of life. What if nothing is in your first house? So that is a very good and common question. A lot of people ask, what if I have an empty house? What if there's nothing in this house? Or what if there's nothing in my first house? In astrology, having an empty house does not mean that there's no activity happening there. It just means that you're not pulling in energy into that house, and there's not a direct focus going into that house. Rather, if anyone has an empty first house, that means that that energy is mainly projected outward, and that's it. We're not pulling in any energy, we're projecting the energy outward based on the ruler. Every house is ruled by a planet. So all the planets that you see in your chart is ruled by a specific house. So for example, in modern rulership, Aries is ruled by Mars. So my Mars being in Aries, it's considered home in its sign because it's ruled by that sign, which means that my seventh house, my Aries seventh house, is ruled by Mars. I don't want to lose anybody, so we're going to take it step by step. We're going to rewind. If you have an empty house, that doesn't mean anything bad. It doesn't mean that you don't have a sense of self or you don't have that area of your life. It just means that area of your life is focused elsewhere, not in that area. So I think by now everyone should have their chart pulled up. And like I said, we are going to focus on the chart ruler, which is our first house, the sign of our first house, and the planet that rules our first house. So we're going to break it down. We're going to break everything down, and it's going to be super easy and super fun and not anxiety provoking at all. So Courtney's laughing at me. Let's talk about the structure of our charts. Now, everyone, I encourage you to keep your chart pulled up if you have the ability to. Now, the structure of your chart, your natal chart that you're looking at right now is the snapshot of the sky the moment you were born. This is what the sky looked like the minute, the day, the time that you were born. The sky is divided into 12 parts known as the houses. Each house is ruled by a sign, which are these colorful icons on the outer ring. So you have your Aries, your Taurus, your Gemini, your Cancer. Each house is ruled by a sign indicated by the colorful icons. The symbols in the houses are where the planets were when you were born. So we did go over that. Everything you see within the houses, those are the planets. And when you see these blue and red lines here, the blue lines represent harmonious aspects between the planets, and the red lines represent challenging aspects between the planets. Now, aspects indicate that there is a relationship between the planets in your chart. We're not going to go over aspects today, but I do get a lot of questions on what do the blue and red lines mean. And that's what it means. It means that these planets are interacting with each other. They're influencing each other. They have a relationship with each other, and that has implications for how they play out in your chart, which again, I'd be happy to do an aspects panel one day. The basic things to look for in your chart. Now, this is just overview. This is something no matter what, we all have different charts, but this is something that we could all apply to our charts despite them being incredibly unique. You'll want to take note of your rising sign. Your rising sign is the sign on the cusp, that's what we call it, of your first house. So in this is actually a snippet from my sidereal chart. This would indicate that this person is a Virgo rising because this is the first house and the sign here is Virgo. So this would be considered a Virgo rising. The reason that we want to take note of our rising sign is because our first house and our rising sign indicates our physical body. It's the first step of being born into the world. It's your physical body. It is very strongly intertwined with your personality. It's very strongly intertwined with how you present yourself to the world. So you do have a lot of tendencies as it relates to the sign of your first house. That's why the first house is so important, because it's literally you. It's the first step of being a human. You have to be born, you have to have a physical body. So that is house number one. That is your rising sign. So just take note of what sign that is. And if you know the traits of that sign, you kind of have an idea of what those traits are. Another basic thing that you want to look for is stelliums and satellidiums. And this means having multiple planets in one house. So, for example, here, these are asteroids and mathematical points, but you see how there's three icons in this first house? This is technically what we consider like a satellidium, three planetary bodies occupying one space. This means that there's a strong energy being pulled into that house. There's a concentration of energy being pulled into that house. So earlier we talked about having empty houses. Empty houses just mean there's not a lot of energy being pulled into that house. Houses with a lot of planets show that there's a lot of energy being pulled into that house. So, for example, going back to my chart, if I can get out of here, I do have a satellidium in Aries. As you guys could see, I have a concentration of planets over here in my Aries seventh house, which means my seventh house has a lot of energy being pulled into it. So I'm going to want to be mindful of seven house matters in my life. The seventh house rules relationships and committed partnerships. So relationships are a big theme for me in my life because I have a lot of heavy planets there. I also have a lot of Aries energy as well. So, since I have a lot of Aries energy, I could find myself resonating a lot with the traits of Aries. So, you want to just look and see if you have empty houses or if you have houses that have a lot of planets in them. Let's see. What does it mean to have Neptune, Uranus, and True Node in your first house? So that is a really good question. I have 6 in my ninth house. What does ninth house mean? You guys honestly are doing so good at finding your planets in your houses, like finding lots of planets in one house. You guys are doing great. Um, Different planets in different houses mean different things. Icons are planets. Yes, Mary Lee. Yes, that's yes, you got it. Everyone's getting it. I'm really happy about that. So different planets mean different things, and different houses represent different areas of life. So, Laura, to answer your question really quick, the ninth house is higher education, higher knowledge, um, your philosophies, morals, values, ethics, religion, spirituality. It's like higher education studies in a way. So if you have a lot of planets in your ninth house, there's a lot of energy being focused into that area of your life. For I forget what I have Neptune and Uranus in the Aquarius first house. So you have Neptune energy and Aquarius energy playing out in your house of self. And that is going to influence your chart ruler, which is what we're going to be talking about today, which I'm really excited. So I'll also be happy to do panels on the other houses as well for the sake of time and keeping it really simple to start out. Today, we are just going to focus on the first house, but I'm happy to answer questions about other planets, other houses, and whatnot. But your chart ruler is based off of your first. Does it make a difference if you have 3 planets and 2 are retrograde? Yes, Michelle. So if you have a retrograde planet in your chart, see, for example, down here, I have Pluto retrograde. You could see that it's retrograde from the R there. The planet does play out a little bit differently if it's retrograde rather than direct. So if you're someone who was born during a Mercury retrograde, Mercury will be retrograde in your chart. Retrograde planets, as a brief, easy description, is that that energy is focused inward and is internalized more so than it is focused outward and externalized. That would be the difference. Can you just explain what the 12th house represents? A quick list. Yeah, I got you, Laura. The 12th house over here is the house of spirituality. It's the spirit world, it's the ether, it's your mental health, it's intangible creativity. So it's music, it's dance. It's also the house of isolation and escapism. So alcoholism, substances. That's all found in the 12th house. An interesting one is the 12th house represents institutions and prisons and all of that. And the 12th house is your self undoing as well. So it's your escapist tendencies. It may be the way that you self sabotage, but it could also be the way that you connect to something greater than the self. This is your spirituality. This is your connection to God, spirit, energies. The 12th house is a little bit confusing. The 12th house is a little bit hazy. It also represents delusion and illusion, but also idealism and imagination. It's very intangible. It's naturally ruled by Neptune, so it has that water energy. Sorry, I meant all 12 houses. Yes, we could go through that. That Aquarius Venus, Taylor, love that. I do have my Venus in Aquarius, and it's conjunct Uranus as well. But yes, as a brief overview of the houses, the first house is the house of self. Second house is your personal income and your physical assets. Third house is writing and communication. Fourth house is your private life, home and family. Fifth house is recreation, fun, and children. If you have children, the fifth house represents your kids. The sixth house represents routines, work, and health. The seventh house represents committed relationships. The fifth house is also dating, your dating life. Seventh house is committed partnership, romantic partnership, business partnership, the other. The eighth house is a house of transformation, depth, intimacy, some things that are like taboo related. The ninth house is, we talked about earlier, your philosophies, higher education. Your 10th house is often associated with your career or your public image, but it's also like reaching for the stars. It's what you work towards, it's climbing the ladder, and it's your sense of purpose in life. The 11th house is communities, social circles, friendships, and your hopes and dreams for your future. And then the 12th house, again, is spirituality and everything that we just listed. Every house also has an axis, and it's typically the opposite of what the other house is because it opposes it. So the first house is your house of self, the seventh house is your house of the other person. Your fourth house is your private life, your 10th house is your public life. So if you're having a hard time remembering the houses, if you remember one, you could remember the other. For example, the second house is your money, your income. The eighth house is other people's money and your investments. So there's like a first and seventh house axis, second and eighth house axis. And I'd be happy to also get into that more so if anyone is interested. But that being said, we have some things that I will continue to point out to you guys because there's so much to the natal chart. So yeah, we talked about concentrations of energies, where the energy is focused. Do you have a lot of planets towards the top of your chart? Do you have a lot of planets towards the bottom of your chart? Do you have a lot of planets more towards the right? Do you have a lot of planets more towards the left? Because this is the hemispheres of your chart, and that has implications that we'll go over. And what elements are present in your chart? Do you have a lot of fire placements? Do you have a lot of water placements, earth, air? Or are your planets kind of equally spread out? Do you have a balanced energy? Are you balanced between the elements? Because these are basic things to look at when you're first looking at your chart to get a general idea of who you are. Yeah, day and night charts, right? Yeah, so some people look at charts as day or night, depending on if you were born during the day or during the night. So if your sun is in the top half of your chart, you are considered to have a daytime chart. If your sun is towards the bottom of your chart, then you're considered to have a nighttime chart. That's how I learned it. And I personally look at all of the planets to get like this really big idea first. But yes, daytime and nighttime charts, that's another way, another really great way to look at it. So, for example, I don't know why it makes me click that before I could X out. So, for example, if I was looking at my chart and I didn't know that this was me, I would look at this and be like, okay, there's a lot of energy towards the right side of the chart. Like there's spread out energy everywhere, but there's 3 planets here that's more towards the right, 2 here, 4 here. A lot of my planets are towards the right of my chart. The right side of your chart is other oriented energy. Are you more other oriented or are you more self oriented? If you have more of your planets towards the left side of your chart, that's more self focused, self directed. I do things for me, for my greater good, not in a selfish way, but just you're more self directed. Or are you other focused, focused on your partner, focused on other people? So for me, mine is more so other focused. Does that mean I'm not self directed? Does that mean I'm not self driven? No, but it's something basic to look at first. So I would look at this person if this wasn't me, and I'd be like, okay, you have a tendency to be a little bit more other oriented. Now, again, a lot of my planets are spread out from the top of my chart towards the bottom of my chart. If you have a lot of planets up here in this region, this is public life. This is something that is seen. This is something that is out in the world. Yes, Chosen?
So I'm starting to get like 'cause some of the signs look kind of similar. So
Mm-hmm.
went through that kind of fast. Can we just touch on that during the Q&A? I'm sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Just remind me of which part you wanted to go deeper into, and I'm more than happy to break it down again once we get there. Um, but also, if there's anything I can answer for you right now, I'd be happy to. In terms of the planets and stuff being towards the top, this is outward energy. Some people say that if you have a lot more planets towards the top of your chart, you're a little bit more extroverted. So this does play out in some ways. If it's more towards the bottom of your chart, you may have a tendency to be a little bit more introverted. So again, these are all things that you could kind of look at your chart to get a basic feel for how your energies play out. So for me, to give my personal example, I'm definitely other oriented, especially with, this 7th house stellium here with all of this focus on the other person. I'm very other oriented. I am very balanced between extroversion and introversion because there is a even spread of planets amongst and around my chart. So that's just, I'd be like, okay, like, in some instances I'm more extroverted, in some instances I'm more introverted. That makes sense. And then another thing that I look at is that while I'm ruled by an air sign, all of this Aries energy, especially having such personal planets there as well, I have a lot of fire energy. There's a lot of fire energy in terms of my chart. So I'm going to focus on the element of fire and how certain things play out for me. And I am going to go over the different elements and the hemispheres of your chart as well. So if you have a lot of water placements, meaning a lot of either Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, you have a lot of emotional, sensitive, and compassionate energy in your chart because you have a lot of water placements. Now, again, you might be spread out evenly. You might have an even distribution of all of the signs. That just means you're a very like balanced person. You're just a very balanced person in the elemental energy. If you have Earth placements, so Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, if you have a lot of them or a lot of important Earth placements in your chart, you have a lot of grounded, sensual, and practical energy. And associate the traits with the element. So for fire, I mean, passion, drive, energy, like fire signs, like they bring the heat essentially. So if you're anything like me, you have a lot of Aries placements. If you have Leo or Sagittarius, again, you'll have a lot of passion, drive, and energy in your chart. And if you have a lot of air in your chart, so Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, you'll have a lot of intellectual, social, and communicative energy as well. So if you're air dominant, you'll have a lot of these traits be dominant in your chart. If you're fire dominant, like myself, you'll have a lot of these traits affiliated with your chart. If you're 50-50, maybe if you have water and fire, you might be fiercely emotional, like you would combine the energies. If you have an even distribution of all 4 elements, then again, you have a nice balanced energy here to your chart. So this is all something to consider and look at and play around with and have fun with. We talked about the hemispheres. So we talked about the upper hemisphere being public extroverted energy, the lower hemisphere being private introverted energy, the right being other oriented, and the left being self oriented. So that's like just some basic things to look at as it pertains to your chart. My ascendant is in Cancer. However, my ascendant and MC in a water sign. All other elements are distributed equally. Is this significant? Yes, Lydian. So, in terms of everything else being distributed equally, you have an equal balance of the energy in your chart. So, you could harness the energies of the four elements in a very balanced way. You could pull from earth and water and air and fire. Honestly, quite equally. Top is outward energy, so bottom is inward. Yes, the bottom is your private life, your inner, like things that you experience in early childhood, things that you experience growing up. That's all the bottom half of your chart. Once you start going out into the world and having relationships and having jobs and seeking community, that's all the top part of your chart. So that's extroverted energy. All right. Oh, I didn't have to go back and forth. I literally had a chart pulled up here. Anyways, moving on. I am excited to get into the astro activity. What is the green line? Also, can you go over which sign is which? Yes, I would love to. In terms of green line, I don't know.
Yeah, I have a green line, like it's kind of like like a line where you
Oh,
cut
a
on. I
dotted
have a
green line. Yes. So if you have any dotted green lines in your chart, that is considered what we call a quincunx or an in conjunction. And that is another aspect. So the blue is harmonious aspects, the red is challenging aspects, and then the green dotted line is considered an in conjunction, which is kind of in the middle of harmonious and challenging. It means that the two energies don't understand each other, so you have to find a creative way to integrate them. So the in conjunction is a little bit confusing and honestly is a little bit tough to understand, but once you do, a lot of things in your chart make a lot more sense. But yeah, I'm like I'd be so excited to also do an aspects panel as well to kind of go through like the red lines, the green lines, the um, blue lines, and all of that. But when you're learning astrology, the order in which you learn astrology is so important because if you try to jump into aspects before other things, it could be confusing. And if you try to jump into other things first without knowing certain things first, like it just gets very, um, like you go down the rabbit hole and then you kind of get lost in a way. So, um, yeah, no, I'd be happy to like go through that at some point. This is the part where we'll need our pen and paper for our astro activity because now we're going to look at our chart ruler. We're going to dive into our charts. We're going to get specific and we're going to learn about ourselves now based off of our chart ruler. There's so many aspects to your chart. The chart ruler isn't the end all be all. It's not the most important thing, but it's pretty important. I would argue the whole chart is the most important thing, but your chart ruler is definitely important. So this is what we're going to do. At this point, I think we should all have our charts and should be ready to go. So what is your chart ruler? Let me see. What does it mean when the lines are connected by a black little line? When the lines are connected by a black little line. When the lines are connected. I'm not too sure, Mary.
Like the lines, the red line is connected. It's like just like an inch, not even a very tiny bit up, and connected by little black lines going through the houses. Does that make
Do you
sense?
mean like these right here?
Let's see. No, you don't have one on this one. Oh,
She's
wait.
maybe talking about the little
right.
light dotted lines.
You have it in is
Oh, right
that
here?
number 5? Number 5 down by the blue. And then there's right there red, but then there's these little, that red line goes to the next house, and it's connected by a bunch of little, right there, by a bunch of little skinny black lines.
Yes, yes, I see what you're talking about. Any lines that you see connecting one planet to the other, that is representing an aspect, meaning that those planets are influencing each other. So these little dotted lines that you see, some of them are semi-sextiles, some of them are sextiles, some of them are in conjunctions, and then the blue and the red are harmonious and challenging. Did that kind of cover, did that answer your question, Mary Lee? Like, is that the lines?
Yeah, it did, because she has a lot of those. So I was just curious. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad that I answered well, and that was a really good question. Matt says conjunct question mark. So if you're asking what a conjunction is, that means that the planets are close enough together to blend their energies together. So in this right here, you could see that my Venus is conjunct my Uranus here, which means that my Venus energies and my Uranus energies are always blended together. So they always influence each other and blend their energies together. That's what a conjunction is. What does the FAEW and CFM charts indicate? So FAEW is the elements, so fire, air, earth, water. And the CFM are the modalities of these signs, which we won't get into today, but that means cardinal, fixed, and mutable. They can influence each other, right? Absolutely. Conjunctions are always influencing each other, which means that anything that aspects my Venus will automatically influence my Uranus because they're conjunct. They're next to each other and they are together. They are working together forever and always. So that is what a conjunction is in your chart. So what we are going to do in terms of finding our chart ruler is first we're going to talk about what the chart ruler is. So your chart ruler is the planet that rules your rising signs. And some things that your chart ruler can indicate is how you project yourself into the world. So when you look to your chart ruler, which is a planet, we're going to find our planets in our charts. This is literally how you project yourself into the world. This is how you go about establishing yourself as an individual entity. This is your individuality. This is how you express, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is, what you see is what you get type energy. Your chart ruler is where a lot of your focus goes in your chart. And the reason that this is important is because where a lot of your focus goes is what you experience in your life. If you're very focused on certain things in your life, then that will impact you much more than other things that you don't prioritize. So your chart ruler, a lot of your focus in your everyday life goes into your chart ruler. Your chart ruler can also show you your natural strengths, so places of ease and even your talents, and it could show you your challenges. So this is areas of growth and development for you. And your chart ruler is what separates you from everyone else with the same rising sign. So for example, I'm a Libra rising. If anyone else here is a Libra rising, that means that we are both ruled by Venus. But does that mean that our chart rulers are exactly the same? Nope. Your Venus could be in a different house than mine. Your Venus could be conjunct a different planet than mine. So your chart ruler truly is what makes you an individual. It's what makes you unique. It's what makes you you. So this is what we are going to start writing down. Now, this is what I'm like super more than happy to help everyone with. We are going to find our chart ruler. So we are going to find the planet that rules our first house. So you're going to want to find the sign on your first house cusp. So earlier I talked about, showing you guys the first house was ruled by Virgo with that Virgo sign there. I want you to find the sign And then you could refer to this chart to figure out which planet rules that sign. I'm ruled by a luminary, not a planet, though, right? Cancer rising, the moon. Yes, the moon and the sun are both considered the luminaries. So, in technical terms, they wouldn't be considered a planet. But just like for like simplicity reasons, I just say like, what planet are you ruled by? And if you're ruled by the moon or the sun, meaning if you are a Leo rising or a Cancer rising, you'll be ruled by a luminary instead. But you're absolutely right, Jess. They are considered luminaries. So I am happy to, yeah, chosen. Sorry.
Oh, this is the part where I was asking you if you could go over because I think I'm missing. I wrote them down so far, but I think I don't have Capricorn and another one because the signs are kind of confusing. For instance, like I think it was Gemini and Pisces, how they have it on the chart. So can we just go over which one is actually which?
Yeah, no, I am so happy to do that. And I'm glad you asked. Oh my gosh, we're going through so many things. All right. So looking at your first house, you'll want to look to the sign that is on the cusp of your first house. So if it looks like this, that's Aries. So if this symbol is the ruler of your first house, that means that your first house ruler is Aries. And then moving on, and I'm going in zodiacal order, meaning like this is the order of the zodiac. Unfortunately, I was late. Will the recording be available afterwards? Yes, Jennifer, the recording will be available afterwards. If you know how to pull up your chart, Jennifer, we're just getting started on the astro activity right now. So you definitely have time to be able to do that if you want. If the symbol in your first house looks like this is Taurus. That means Taurus rules your first house. If the symbol in your first house looks like this, that means you're ruled by Gemini. And they're color coded for their elements. So the red symbols are fire, the green symbols are earth, the yellow is air, and then the blue is water. So they're color coded to their element too, which I think is really cool. If you have this symbol in your first house, that means that your first house is ruled by Cancer. If you have this symbol here, this means that you are ruled by Leo, or that means that you're a Leo rising, essentially. If you have this green symbol here on your first, that means that you are a Virgo rising. If you have this symbol on your first, like me, then that means you are a Libra rising. If you have this symbol here on your first house, that means you're a Scorpio rising. And I would jot down which rising sign you are. If you have this symbol on your first house, then that means you are a Sagittarius rising. If you have this symbol on your first house, that means that you are a Capricorn rising. If you have this symbol in your first house, that means you're an Aquarius rising. And if you have this symbol in your first house, that means that you are a Pisces rising. So does everyone know their rising sign? Because that's important. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Beautiful. Sweet. So now that we know our rising signs, we just went through the signs. This is how you find your ruler. Instead of teaching you all of them, I have it laid out here in this fun little chart. So if you are an Aries rising, Mars is your chart ruler. And that was like super easy. Like we actually like have our chart rulers now. If you're a Taurus rising, then Venus is your chart ruler. If you're a Gemini rising, Mercury is your chart ruler. Cancer rising, the luminary of the moon is your chart ruler. If you're a Leo rising, you are ruled by the sun. If you're a Virgo rising, you are ruled by Mercury. Gemini and Virgo are co-ruled by the planet Mercury, so Mercury rules both of those signs. If you're a Libra rising, then Venus is your chart ruler. And same thing, Venus co-rules Libra and Taurus. So Libra and Taurus risings both share Venus as a chart ruler. If you're a Scorpio rising, then Pluto is your chart ruler according to modern rulership. If you do traditional rulership, it would be Mars. I do modern rulership, so I would consider Pluto as your chart ruler. If you're a Sagittarius rising, then Jupiter is your chart ruler. If you're a Capricorn rising, Saturn is your chart ruler. And Aquarius rising, Uranus is your chart ruler according to modern rulership. Saturn, if you do traditional rulership. I do modern, so I would consider Uranus as your chart ruler. And same for Pisces rising. Modern rulership is Neptune, traditional rulership is Jupiter. I do modern, so I would consider it to be Neptune. Explains why I'm always moody, being ruled by the moon. That changes signs every 2.5 days. Yes, Jess, your chart ruler is definitely is ruled by emotion. So yes, Cancer risings tend to have a very emotional and sensitive and nurturing vibe to them, being ruled by the moon. So basically, the way that I would say this for myself, I'm a Libra rising. I'm ruled by Venus. I am ruled by the planet Venus. So everyone, for this activity, I want you to write down your um, rising sign. So be like, for example, Libra rising. And then I want you to write down your chart ruler and be like, blank is my chart ruler, Venus is my chart ruler. Once we have those two things down, we could move forward. So as soon as everyone has your chart, your rising sign and your chart ruler, we could go to the next thing. I'm super excited because it's all going to come together. Actually, I'm going to write it down too. I'm going to do this with you. Libra, Venus. Yay. Where did we land? Was everyone able to find their chart ruler? Sweet. Question. I have an answer, I hope. Yes, thank you, Margaret. Good. How does it feel to know your chart ruler? Like, is anyone here is anyone here who didn't know that they were ruled by a planet? Like, is it cool to see like what planet you're ruled by? Like, it's cool to kind of see like, oh my gosh, like blank is my ruling planet. It's in the first house, correct? Yes, you're gonna want to look to the sign of your first house, and then you'll want to use this chart here to find the ruler.
I'm
What this
sorry. Is there a specific site that you guys are getting the charts from?
Yes, it is astro.com.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Oh no, you're very welcome and no worries. Yes, I do have the list of like step-by-step instructions that I broke down. It's going to be a part of the recording and it's included in the PDF as well. So everyone here will be able to repeat this process with ease if you want to go back in and look at it. But what this comes down to is that every sign is ruled by a planet no matter what. Like that's just how astrology works. Signs are ruled by planets. So Mars rules Aries, Venus rules Taurus. So your first house, for example, if your first house is Aries, then Mars rules your first house, which means Mars is your chart ruler. That's kind of like how it plays out. Aw, thank you, Chosen. But what does it mean? Wait, but what does it mean Mercury? Oh, like what does it mean to have Mercury as your chart ruler? So this is the activity, Mary Lee. When you guys write this down, we're actually going to punch it into like a Mad Libs thing, and it's going to give you a description of your chart ruler. We just need to gather your information first. So it's going to make sense at the end, I promise you. So if the first house is ruled by Mars, but your rising is Cancer and ruled by the moon, do you have to incorporate that as well? So Michelle, if you are a Cancer rising, that means that you are ruled by the moon, and that means the moon is your chart ruler. If you're talking about the first house being ruled by Mars naturally, that is as it pertains to natural rulership, which doesn't play out in figuring out your chart ruler. Your chart ruler is very unique and specific to you. Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, I'm glad I explained that well. All right, everyone. So at this point, we should all know what our rising sign is, and at this point, we should all know what planet we are ruled by. Now let's look at the next thing that we're going to write down. I want you to write down your chart ruler's traits. So if you're ruled by Mars, just write down action. Or you could write down like Mars traits equals action if you want to remember the planet and the sign. For me personally, I am a Libra rising, so I'm going to go to the Libra Venus here, and I'm going to write down relationship because Libra and Venus both rule relationships. If you're a Taurus rising, you have the Taurus side of Venus, you'll want to write down stability because Taurus is very stable. Yeah, so whichever one your chart ruler is, you'll just want to take this word. Now, this isn't the only way to describe the traits of your chart ruler, but for the sake of time and simplicity and to have fun, I just put one on there, which is the one trait that is most often associated with that sign and planet. So Libra is most often associated with relationships. Mars and Aries is most associated with action. Mercury and Gemini, communication. The moon and Cancer, nurturing, sun, creativity. Like all of these are pretty standard and straightforward as it pertains to their traits. Does everyone have their chart ruler traits written out? Is everyone all set with that? We have, yes, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Mary Lee. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the thumbs up, everyone. Super helpful. All right, now, this is the last thing that we need to do. And we need to figure out what house our chart ruler is in. So, let's see. This is how we're going to put it together. But we're going to write down the qualities and the focus of the house once we figure out what house it's in. So we'll go through the planets. If your first house, if you are an Aries rising, that means that Mars is your chart ruler. You're going to want to look for this symbol right here. It's the circle with the arrow pointing out towards the northeast, I guess. If you're an Aries rising, you're going to want to look for this planet and you're going to want to figure out what house it's in. And I want you to write down what house it's in. So for me, for example, it's in my 7th house. I'm not an Aries rising, but since if I was to look for Mars, I would look for this symbol and I would go to the center of the circle and look at that number. That number indicates what house that planet is in. So if you are an Aries rising, I would look for Mars and what house that's in your chart. Mine says Gemini, but no planet in the first house. Sounds correct? Does sound correct, Gary. You are on the right track because you know that you are a Gemini rising, which means that you are ruled by Mercury, which means you're going to look for this sign. You're going to look for this symbol in your chart and you're going to write down what house it's in. If you are a Taurus rising, if this symbol is on your first house, then you are going to look to Venus, which is this symbol right here. It's the circle. It kind of looks like a little person here. You're going to want to look for this sign, like this symbol, and figure out what house it's in. Back up, say that again. If you are a Gemini rising, which you're not, Michelle, you're a Cancer rising, so you're going to look for the moon. You're going to look for that. But basically, if you're a Gemini rising, which is the next sign, if this symbol is on your first house, then you're going to look for this planet and where that is in your chart. Yes, Chosen?
I think it'll be easier if you drop down below your actual chart. It has the symbols where it says Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus. So now that we know our chart ruler and our rising,
Oh, yeah.
rising, it'll show you the symbols right there and just look for, like for me, I'm Taurus rising. and it's ruled by Venus. So now I'm looking for the Venus sign. It's in my 6th house.
Oh,
So
perfect. That was an amazing suggestion. Thank you. Is this too small or can everyone see that? Like, can everyone see these symbols? Okay, perfect. Beautiful. Thank you. That's so much easier. Moon is in the 3rd house. Yes, Michelle, you did it. Perfect. So write down 3rd house. And then when we go back to the PowerPoint, we're going to write down the qualities of the 3rd house for you specifically. Mine is in my 5th house. So I'm going to write that down. So when everyone finds, oops, sorry.
Oh, I was going to ask, is there any significance of the numbers before, like it says Sun, 1, Aries, and...
Yes, so that is this number 1 is the degree that it's in. And then, so it's 1 degree of Aries, and then it is 8 minutes or 8 minutes 53. Let me actually see that really quick. Is that minutes? Oh my gosh, they rounded it up to 9. Yeah, so it's 8 minutes and 53 seconds. So they rounded it up to 9 minutes in my chart. So each degree is divided by minutes and seconds, and we just do it by minutes. So it's kind of like when you do math and you're rounding up. Let's just say my sun was at like 1 degree. Is this a good example? 9. 32. So for example, my Vesta right here, it's at 14 degrees, 58 minutes, which means it's 2 minutes away from being 15 degrees. So some people might just round that up to 15, for example. Yeah. That's when we get into degrees and orbs of influence and all that fun stuff. Oh, let me go back to this. Yep, so everyone, we're going to find your ruling planet and what house that planet's in. So my moon is in the 3rd house in Virgo. Got you. Perfect. Keep that in mind, Michelle, because we're going to put that into our little thing at the end. But yes, when everyone figures out what house their chart ruler is in, just let me know, and then we can move on to the next thing. All right, Courtney's all set. And if anyone having any issues finding their chart ruler, I'd be happy to kind of help you navigate that as well.
I actually am having issues. So I finally got the chart. It says that my ascending is in Scorpio. But how do I find what planet is ruled by that?
Yes, so Scorpio in modern rulership, which is what I use, is ruled by Pluto. So you'll want to look for this P symbol in your chart, and you'll want to see which house it's in. So for me, for example, my Pluto is in my 3rd house. You could see it like in this little section here. So you'll want to find yours, and you'll want to find which house it's in.
Okay, it's in my 1st house.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So write down, we wrote down all of that. So Pluto's your ruling planet. Yeah, write down Pluto in 1st house.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. My Mercury is in 4th house. Are you a Gemini or Virgo rising, Margaret? Because then that makes sense. If you are ruled by Gemini or Virgo, that means Mercury is your chart ruler. So if this symbol is in your 3rd house, then you are all set. I mean 4th house, sorry. I'm a Gemini rising. Perfect. So that means you found your chart ruler and you found the house that your chart ruler's in. You guys are killing it. This is awesome. I'm so excited. You guys are doing so good. We are navigating our charts. And this is how you read astrology, by the way, everyone. When you look at a sign in a house, you look to the ruler of that sign to figure out how to, this is how you read a chart, essentially. So my chart ruler, is Venus. I'm a Libra rising, and that is in the 5th house of X, Y, and Z conjunct this. My 5th house ruler is in the 5th house, and that's aspecting my Jupiter in the 6th house, which that ruler's over here. Like, this is how you read astrology. We're just doing one layer of that, which is finding our chart ruler. But this is good to get in the habit of doing if you want to like fully read astrology for yourself or others. But that being said, it sounds like we're getting the gist of it. So if everyone's okay with me bringing it back to your house focus, whichever house your chart ruler is in, if it's in the first house, this is the focus. It's a focus on self, identity, and personal expression. If your chart ruler is in the second house, your focus is on values, finances, and possessions. So find which house your chart ruler is in and then write down the focus areas. And if everyone could just give me like a thumbs up or an okay whenever we're all set. Yeah, Chosen? Oh, you
I
got
didn't mean I'm gonna do a thumbs up.
no worries. Good. Okay, perfect. Perfect. All right. Honestly, you guys are doing amazing, by the way. I just want to give like props to all of you because this is not an easy process by any means, especially if this is your first time doing this. Like you guys are doing absolutely amazing. Like I'm thoroughly like impressed and happy by this. So now that we have our rising sign, our chart ruler, our chart ruler's traits, the house, and the focus, now we could put it all together to see what our chart ruler means for us. Yes, I'm impressed with me too. Yes, Mary Lee, you're killing it. I realized that my chart ruler, Mars in Gemini squares Mercury, Gemini's ruler. Wait, my chart ruler, Mars in Gemini squares my Mercury. Gemini, am I getting too far ahead? Um, I'm a little bit confused by the wording of your question, Matt, but your chart ruler, if you're a Gemini rising, that means that Mercury is your chart ruler. And if you're saying that your Mercury squares off with your Mars, then that means that there is a relationship between your chart ruler and the planet Mars in your chart. Oh, I'm an Aries rising and Mars is in Gemini. Got you. So as an Aries rising, Mars is your chart ruler and that is in Gemini and that should be in your third house. And then that being in Gemini, that's like the flavor that it plays out in. And it squares Mercury, Gemini's ruler, and it squares Mercury. It's not that you're getting too far ahead, but we're talking about aspects. So you are taking it a step further because it appears to me that you know astrology. So that is if there's an aspect to your chart ruler, if it's a harmonious aspect, then this could be something positive for your chart ruler. If it's a challenging aspect, then this might be a challenge to your chart ruler. So aspects influence how your chart ruler plays out. Aquarius rising, Uranus, eighth house. Yes, Angela. Yes, beautiful. So just make sure that you write down the traits of the eighth house. And now that we have all this information, we're going to tie it all together to figure out what our chart ruler means for us specifically. So I want you to write down this, but fill in the blanks. So this is how it's going to sound. I am a blank rising, which means that this planet is my chart ruler. This means that I am very naturally blank, which is the planet trait oriented. My chart ruler is in the whichever house it's in, which means a lot of my focus and self expression goes into and then that house trait. So we're filling it in like a Mad Libs type of deal, type of situation, which is why I had you guys write everything down earlier. So we'll take a minute to write that down. I'll share mine, and if anyone wants to share theirs to kind of give everyone an idea of like what it sounds like, we could do that. also keep in mind the filling in the blanks and this starter sentence for what your chart ruler means for you is a very beautiful starting point. There's so much more to your chart ruler than just this information, but this information is just a really great way to start familiarizing yourself with your chart ruler energy. The more that you learn about astrology, the more that you practice reading astrology, you'll add to this information over time. You'll be able to understand your chart ruler more and more and more. But this is like a beautiful, like, step one, getting you started, getting you going. Um, and then there's so many different ways that it could play out after this, depending. But yeah, and whenever you guys are ready, just let me know, and then I'll share mine. And if anyone wants to share theirs, thank you. I see a thumbs up. Everyone's quiet. How are we doing?
I don't mind sharing mine.
Yeah, I'm done. I can share as well.
Okay, awesome. Jessica said, I know my chart like the back of my hand with all the readings you have been doing for me lately, Taylor. I love that, Jess. It has been so much fun to read for you lately. It has been amazing. I appreciate it. Yeah, does anyone want to go first? Do you want me to go first? Is anyone like super excited to share what they have going on?
I can share mine.
Sweet.
So I am a Scorpio rising, which means that Pluto is my chart ruler. This means I'm naturally very transformation oriented. My chart ruler is in the first house, which means a lot of my focus and self-expression goes into self-identity and personal expression.
Nice. Okay. One, you killed it. You got it. Like, you got all the information down beautifully. How do you feel like that resonates like with you, like reading about your chart ruler? Like, how does
Oh
that
my
land?
God, it resonates a lot because I've been feeling like I'm blocked from those things. Like those are the things that I'm striving for. And I'm like, who the hell am I? Like, what am I doing? And it's crazy. So I guess this really explains a lot.
Oh, I love it. Yes, beautiful. Yeah. Scorpio rising, since they are ruled by transformation and the intensity of Pluto, like, you may feel like a lot of the time having your chart ruler in the first house, that your self and your identity is constantly transforming. Like, you're constantly breaking yourself down to build yourself up again and transforming who you are, what you do, how you express yourself. So I love
Absolutely.
that it resonated.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for sharing. Chosen, did you want to go?
Sure, I'll go. And it's funny actually, but so I'm a Taurus rising, which means that Venus is my chart ruler. This means I am naturally very stability oriented. My chart ruler is in the sixth house, which means a lot of my focus and self expression goes into work, health, and daily routines.
Okay. And how did that land with you?
It's kind of given. I'm military, so
Okay.
very disciplined, like work. Yeah, like work. Well, I'm gonna say like so focused on work, but a lot of my focus is work. If anything, I put all my energy into it. Like I guess you can say I project that whatever's going on, I project it into my work. That's why I'm just always so awesome, and I guess you could say successful. And yeah, I love routines. So and working out. That's why I was like, that's very typical because I'm military, so it fits.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, and also, like, as a Taurus rising, the natural way that your routines play out is very like stable. Like, it's kind of like you maintain the same routine over time. Like, Taurus does it's a fixed sign, so it doesn't really like change. Like, if it's not broken, don't fix it type energy. So, yeah, I love that. Beautiful. Thank you. All right, Mary Lee.
Okay. Whew. tell me if this is right, okay? I'm a Virgo rising, which means that Mercury planet is my chart ruler. This means I'm naturally very detail oriented. My chart ruler is in the fourth house, which means a lot of my focus and self-expression goes into home, family, and emotional foundation.
Yes, perfect.
Oh my God, that's why I don't have to deal with my daughter anymore. I was wondering, this is my daughter's because I don't have my time.
Gotcha.
I was
Oh, yeah.
wondering why Mom, I can do that. The grandchildren. Oh my God, I'm free at last. I can be here. Thank you.
I love that. One, you did that. You read that beautifully. Like you found the sign, the ruler, the chart. Like you did that perfectly. Perfect execution. Beautiful. And yes, I love that it resonated. I love that it makes sense now. Like I love how it made everything come together. So that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. That is amazing.
Thank you. Angela?
Okay, tell me if I'm not bugging out right now. Okay. I'll read mine. I am an Aquarius rising, which means that Uranus is my chart ruler. This means I am naturally very innovative. My chart ruler is in the eighth house, which means a lot of my focus and self expression goes into transformation, shared resources, and the occult. That is so spooky.
You did that perfectly. Like you again, like everyone's doing so good with this, but where did that land with you? Because you got all the correct information.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I spent my entire life being an educator. So that does go into transforming shared resources. Shared resources is just that teaching. Um, and yeah, there we go.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
I'm launching my own little enterprise, and it happens to be the name of it is The Study of Me. So the occult. Spooky.
Yes, I love it. Yes, having your chart ruler in the eighth, you definitely do a lot as it pertains to the occult, transformative processes, even psychology as well. That's also the eighth house. And yes, and shared resources, what you share with other people essentially is also very innovative as an Aquarius rising. You find very niche and unique ways of sharing these resources with people too, which is probably why you're successful at doing and starting your own thing. So I love that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. You're
Aw,
excellent.
thank you. All right. I did miss some chat comments. I'm so sorry. Michelle said, Cancer rising, ruled by the moon. I'm naturally very nurturing. My chart ruler's in the third house, which means I focus on communication, learning, and possessions. Communication, learning. Did I put possessions on the third house? That's interesting. But communication, learning, writing, yes, Michelle, you nailed that perfectly. And I'm kind of cheating because I know you personally, but I do feel like that resonates with your energy. Do you feel like that resonates, Michelle? Chosen said, I would love to get a reading. Well, I do those. And I do have the information to book a reading as well after the Q&A section. So I'll be able to link everyone to that. Ray said, I'm a Taurus rising, which means that Venus is my chart ruler. This means I'm naturally very stability oriented. My chart ruler's in the sixth house, which means a lot of my focus and self-expression goes into work, health, and daily routines. Yes, Ray, that's so similar to Chosen's too. Is this resonating with y'all in the chat? Matt said, I'm an Aries rising, which means that Mars is my chart ruler. This means I'm naturally very action oriented. My chart ruler is in the third house, which means a lot of my focus and self expression goes into communication, learning, and immediate environment. Yes, very passionate in your communication. Matt Matt said, got to bolt early. Love this though. Looking forward to another panel. Oh, thank you, Matt. Yes, yes, it does. Third house includes possessions. Your second house is your possession. So if I put that in the third house, that was a mistake on my part. Your personal possessions is your second house, and your immediate environment, like your neighborhood, your siblings, early education, elementary school, middle school, high school, all of that's the third house. Courtney, did you want to share yours? Not to like call you out or anything.
Sure, I will share mine. Alrighty, so I am a Pisces rising, which means that Neptune is my chart ruler. This means I'm naturally idealistic oriented. My chart ruler is in the 11th house, which means a lot of my focus and self-expression goes into social networks and friendship and social networks. Yeah. Yeah, no, that definitely.
I almost have to laugh at how like on point that is.
Yeah, I mean, is that why we're kind of all here too?
Yep. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Jessica says she loves Pisces risings. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all are very, very spiritual and fascinating to me as a Libra rising, to say the least. But okay, really quick, I just want to say that life situations that knowing your chart ruler could help you with. So, your chart ruler honestly helps you understand yourself better, as we just saw. It could really go over some of the qualities of the type of work that you do and the career that you have. So, like in Courtney's example, Courtney's chart ruler is in her 11th house of social networks. A lot of her drive goes towards creating community, creating social networks, which is why we're here today. So a lot of it does describe what you do, and this can relate to the type of career that you have. This could relate to the type of partner that you are in relationships. And this could also indicate reoccurring experiences or patterns in your life. And what you can do with this information moving forward, because I'm all about having that clarity, insight, and plan moving forward. You could utilize this energy to understand yourself better, understand how the transits can affect you. So when things are happening in the sky, like Mercury retrograde or something like that, if it's affecting your chart ruler, you could understand how it's affecting you. Understanding how it plays out in your chart so you could tap into the strengths of this energy when needed. So if you're feeling lost about what to do and who you are, you could look at your chart ruler, see what's going on with it, and really lean into the strengths that it has to offer, while also understanding your chart ruler's weaknesses. If there's anything that is particularly challenging or just a natural weakness given the sign and the placement. Now, weaknesses aren't a bad thing. It's just more so understanding, where we could be more mindful or where we could work on skill development potentially. And understand its interactions with the rest of your chart. So, how does your chart ruler play out with the other planets and the other areas of life? Because we talked about one area of life today. How does it impact other areas of life, which is so important? So, that's things that you could do with this information moving forward. I do hope that it was helpful, insightful, all that fun stuff. And I did put up some room for Q&A. Excellent teaching and class. Please do class two panel. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna have all the panels. But if you guys enjoyed doing, breaking down your chart ruler in your first house, we could go through the houses, because if we go in order, if we go to the second house, that's how we make money. That's how we go about obtaining our possession. Courtney's like, yes. So we could do that. Like, we could go through, like, next thing we could do is like how you make money in terms of your chart. And then we do the same exact thing. We break it down, find the ruler of the second house, find the house, all that fun stuff. We could definitely do that. Laura said, fan flipping tastic. Lydian said, I worked within foster care for a while. Cancer rising, moon in Taurus, 11th house. Astrology is real. Lydian, that is so spot on for those placements. Sometimes I just laugh at how accurate it could be sometimes. But yeah, in the last like little bit that we have, I want to open it up to like any remaining questions. I know I answered them as we went, but if there's any questions that we have towards the end, I definitely want to learn more about aspects. I have grand water trines in my chart. Yes. I do personally have to dive deeper into aspect patterns like that in terms of like grand trines, but we could definitely do aspects. We could do aspects, we could definitely do houses. I'm here forever, so we could just, do as many as we want. We could do all the things. This has been a wonderful, Gary said, this has been a wonderful experience with everyone. Thank you, Taylor, for sharing your gifts with us. Oh, you're very welcome, Gary. Thank you for being here. I love to do second house right now. I mean, essentially, you guys can use this template for the other houses and other signs and other planets. We did start with the chart ruler, but if you guys want to branch off and do your thing, I will say that, I do offer like private readings, delivery readings, TikTok live readings. So if anyone wants to sit down with me and break it down and go through your chart and look deeper at your chart ruler, like I am available for that. I do have the links and everything for that. So I'm more than happy to help you understand your chart further if you want more information beyond the panel. Can you give me more insight on the third house? The third house in general is your early learning. It's the facts, it's communicating, it is writing, it's changing your mind, seeing both sides to everything, understanding things at a fundamental level before you break off and start developing your own theories. It's understanding the facts first. I have a question, but I don't know if it's something that can be answered. Is there something special about being ruled by a luminary and not a planet? Well, my Libra rising self wants to say that there's something special about everyone's rising sign, but I guess you know what? I have seen theories out there about like if you're ruled by a luminary rather than being ruled by a planet, because the luminaries are the only things in the sky that either emit or reflect light. The luminaries are the reasons why we are able to see things, because the sun is creating light and the moon reflects it. And the luminaries create the moon cycles of the new moon and the full moon. So there is a stronger emphasis on the lunar cycles and lunar and solar energy. So, like, I would say it is special for sure. Please tell me, what is rising as in sign rising? So your rising sign is called your rising sign because that is the sign that was on the horizon when you were born. That was the sign that was quite literally rising in the sky, right above the horizon when you were born. So that's why it's called a rising sign. Can you send me the template for the houses and what the planets do? Oh yeah, I got you, Laura. Yeah, if anyone wants a copy of this PDF, I could send it to Courtney and Courtney could put it in her newsletter. If you want to reach out to me directly, I could also just email it to you directly. Yes, I'm gonna link you guys to all of my information as well. I'm pretty accessible. I have my website and my email list and all that fun stuff. Can you help me understand my aspects? My moon is trining my Venus cap 7th house. It also squares Neptune, Aquarius 8th house, and Mercury cap 7th house. Yes, Lydian, I'd be happy to help you understand it. In terms of like all these different aspects, it would be so much easier for me to be able to see your chart in front of me. So this might be something that we would dive into, like potentially doing a reading to really look at these aspects. But in terms of your moon trining your Venus, there is a harmonious energy between your emotions, the things that you value, relationships, love, all of that. But it also squares Neptune. So there's a bit of tension between potential spirituality or feeling disillusioned at times. And if it squares off with Mercury, there's also tension between communication. So you might you might fall in love very hard and very fast, and you might potentially idealize partners from time to time, and that might show in the types of communication that you have. That's the best that I could do without your chart in front of me, but I'd be happy to dive into that in a reading for you. Same as sun sign. Your sun sign is only the same as your rising sign if your sun is in your first house. Isn't the rising the same as the ascendant? Yes, Naomi. Your rising sign will always have the ascendant in the first house. So your ascendant will always be the same sign as your rising sign. Oh, Jessica just said yes. Thank you, Jess. Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you're very welcome, everyone. Yes, I'll get this PDF to Courtney. I'll also provide this PDF on my website through my email list. So whether you reach out to Courtney, reach out to me, like we'll get all of this information to you. I'm ready to book. Where's the link? Tap tapping on the screen. You guys are so funny. Yes, so I have delivery astro readings where if you want me to record a reading for you and just deep dive into something, I could do that. You could just scan that. It's also on my website as well. We could also do private one-on-one Zoom readings. You guys could just message me for that or email me for that. I still have to get them like set up and bookable on my website. But delivery astro readings you could order through a YouTube link, and I'll send you a recording of it. Or we could do a one-on-one if you guys want to do that as well. Oh, really quick, I'm doing a mental health fundraiser, by the way, everybody. I am raising funds to raise awareness for mental health. I am donating funds to Mental Health America. They're a nonprofit that provides accessible, meaning free, mental health services to people across the entire country. It is still going on until July 21st. So you could find all the information for that at my website, along with my readings and along with where you could book with me. So just throwing that in there, I am doing a fundraiser that is still open for the next 6 days. But this is also where you could find me. I do live readings on TikTok almost every day. So if you want to give me a follow on TikTok and turn my notifications on, I do astrology readings for people live. So if you want to see what the readings are like before investing in one, you're more than welcome to join us. It's super fun to hang out. If you guys have any more questions outside of the panel, you're more than welcome to ask your questions during my lives. We just hang out, we have fun, we chat with each other. And I do pull your chart up on a screen so you could see it as I'm reading it. So you could also book a reading while I'm live and I talk to you in real time as well. If you wanted to do more of a private Zoom reading, we could definitely do that if you wanted to reach out to me and message me. And I also do the delivery reads as well. So you basically ask me your question. You could say, hey, I want to know more about my chart ruler. Can you read it for me? I will look at it. I will record it. I will send it to you. You could watch it as many times as you want to really, understand it. But again, sometimes people prefer the face-to-face meeting live on Zoom. I'm also available for that. But yeah, so that is let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing any chats here. Jessica said her readings are amazing and so accurate. Taylor has done like 3 readings for me in the last 2 weeks. Oh, Jessica, thank you. Yes, can't wait for my jersey. Yes, Jessica ordered a team jersey, and basically I have fundraiser items that you could get, and I have t-shirts and jerseys. The team jerseys is kind of like I'm on team BlackMoonTaylor. I donated to this. We came together as a community, and it's super cool. 10% of every order does get donated directly to Mental Health America. So Jessica is one of the amazing people that has gotten a team jersey, and I'm super excited. Chosen said I'll definitely support. Thank you. She is excellent and right on. Thank you, Michelle, with her readings. Oh, Naomi said I second that. Oh, you guys are so sweet. You guys are so nice. Yeah, there are so many people from my community in here that support me and I support them, and it's just so beautiful. I've read for a lot of people here, and it's just been so beautiful to develop these relationships and to help you guys out. What's the materials on the teas? So if you go to blackmoontaylor.com, I do have all of that information there. I'd be happy to pull it up if you guys wanted me to. I just didn't want to like take up time away from other things. But if this is where our focus is shifting, we could do that too. But the materials, the t-shirts are fruit of the loom, so they're super soft, super comfortable. And then the jerseys, those like literal like team jerseys that like soccer players wear? It's just like that. I want to say maybe polyester. I might be wrong about that. The jersey's polyester. Yes, Jessica. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. Yeah, actually, since we have like 1 minute, I would be happy to. Where did my thing go? Oh, that's where it went. Do. I will show you guys right now. So when you go to blackmoontaylor.com, you'll see this event that I was promoting for a while on the home screen. And then you'll see fundraiser right here. This is where my TikTok live readings are. So if you wanted to order an Astro Tarot reading, Astro Tarot, I combine astrology and tarot into one reading, or you could do just tarot, delivery reads, learning, all this fun stuff. But if you go to fundraiser and you click get involved, it will bring you to the fundraiser page. This is about the fundraiser. This is the fundraiser goal. This is about Mental Health America, and here's a link to their website if you wanted to read more about their mission, their history, their programs. Their symbol of hope. This is where they got started. And this is directly where your donation is going to. So if you're wondering like what they use the donations for, this is what they use it for. Clothing designed to make you feel powerful. So we got team jerseys and t-shirts, and this is what they look like. Super excited. We got a Liberated and Free t-shirt and a team jersey here, and they are fundraiser exclusives. Also, if you didn't get an item, we do have just like the regular donation jar right here. But the team jersey, I could actually tell you what it's made of because it should be in the description. 100% performance polyester, and it's super cool. On the sleeves, there's like the logo, and then on the back, it has like the team name on it. Oh, it's just so cool. Like I just am obsessed with it. But yeah, so that's that. And then all of my everything is right here on my website. So like classes, books, the Astro Tarot readings, fundraisers, referrals, testimonials about. More is where you could hit contact. So if you wanted to contact me through that, this is also where you could sign up for my email list too. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff on here. Yeah, right here. Stay in the know. I do update you guys. I send reminders for these events that I do with Courtney and stuff with links to sign up. So I do try to make it easy for you guys in terms of staying up to date on stuff. I do a lot of early access, a lot of discounts, a lot of like if I'm doing discounts on readings, you guys are the first to know all of that stuff. So highly recommend that. But yeah, this is where you could kind of find like me and everything that I do. Let's see. Um, Chosen said any visuals. Oh, did you mean for the shirts and the jerseys? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I was ahead of myself. Her book is amazing too. Oh, thank you, Jessica. Yeah, my tarot book. Um, Not your average guidebook and whatnot. I didn't do the shirt, but the shirt basically is like the same thing. It has the logo on the front, and then liberated and free is like the core values of my business, like being a liberated and free individual. That's like my whole thing. So on the front we have the logo, and then on the back it says liberated and free. And then that little tiny, like it's hard to see here, but it says BlackMoonTaylor for Mental Health 2024. So these are fundraiser exclusive. So like no other anything is going to say that because it's going to signify like us coming together and donating and being a part of it and whatnot. And the team jersey also has um it says right here BlackMoonTaylor for Mental Health 2024. It has a little emblem on it just to kind of like unify us. And oh, also one last thing, I'm a little everywhere right now, but I do have a celebration event planned for it on TikTok live as well. So I'm going to take all of the funds that we raise together and I'm going to donate it like live, and then we're going to like party and celebrate and like have a good time. We're going to do like readings and whatnot, and just kick back. And I have a few like special surprise things planned. It's going to be on July 21st. It's free. Everyone here is obviously invited. We're going to do a full moon ritual together. So we're all going to do some witchy full moon stuff. We're going to donate, and it's going to be on the screen being like, you know, thank you for donating, blah, blah, blah. We're all going to celebrate, have a good time. Like it's going to be fun to, you know, celebrate the wrapping up of the fundraiser. So if you guys want to shoot me a follow on TikTok, I will be like putting up the event that you could register for soon. Yay, Capricorn full moon. Yes, the upcoming Capricorn full moon is on the 21st. So we're going to do all that fun stuff. But yeah, so that is, I think, everything. Is there anything else that I could do or answer or talk about? What are our thoughts? What are our feelings? This is my inner counselor. This is my inner therapist coming out. What are we feeling, everyone? Where did we land? How are we doing? Thank you guys. I see some of the party emojis and the clapping emojis. Michelle said, great job. Oh, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it was very thorough, very detailed, very informative. So thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you guys like got something out of it. That was my main goal.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I'm
thank
feeling
you. I
inspired.
definitely got some out of it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm now able to look at the natal chart and not be completely overwhelmed with everything. And even as we were going through, I was looking at some of the other houses, which I'm sure all of us were doing, going, oh, okay, well, this makes sense. And this is how I'm showing up here, and this is where I can change it. And I'm also looking at it as understanding what my own needs are, which is
Mm.
really interesting. So I'm gonna absolutely be doing a bit of a deep dive throughout the week in my natal chart. So thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. I'm so glad. Yes, I was really hoping to open the door
Yeah.
for like deeper exploration so you guys could take this information and just run with it. But yes, Chosen, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I don't know who that was just speaking, but I was gonna say the same. Like she said, it helps you learn more about yourself, and understand like your certain patterns and behaviors better, to where you can either improve on those, or like you was talking about, like the strengths and weaknesses. I did want to ask a question. How does the birth chart plays into, I guess, his and I don't know if I'm saying this right, but astrocartography?
Yes, yes. Great question. Astrocartography is the process of pulling up your relocated chart to see how your energies have shifted after moving. So your birth chart is the snapshot in the sky where you were born. And if you move far enough away from your birth town, your chart turns. Like as
Mm.
you move west or east, it turns different directions. So your natal chart is always going to be you. It's always going to be your blueprint, and your relocated chart is pretty much a layer on top of it. It's additional information to take into consideration, and it's more so your external environment and how your new external environment interacts with you and how you interact with your external environment. So your natural tendencies will always be your natal chart, but then there's added information that comes from your relocated chart, which astrocartography is super fascinating and super fun to get into.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, because I was born and raised in Georgia, but then I moved to Tennessee, then I went overseas, and then now I'm in Texas. But I guess you could say I flourished better when I was in Tennessee, and I just love being overseas. So yeah, that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's why some people love certain areas and other people despise those areas. And it's their interactions with the external world in those areas. It just resonates with some people better than others. Jessica said, I've been looking more into my chart to understand my Saturn return more, which you know, Taylor. So thanks for all that you do. Oh, you're very welcome, Jess. Yes, Saturn return. I mean, from what I remember, you're absolutely slaying your Saturn return. A lot of people are scared of their Saturn return. You don't need to be. It's just making sure that you did the work that you've been supposed to be doing. So yes, Jess, I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. I'm feeling inspired. I'll probably just add the like one-on-one private Zoom bookings to my website after this because y'all got me feeling inspired, and I feel like that should just be on there naturally. So you'll see it on there by tomorrow. But yeah, is there anything else that I could do for anyone? I want everyone to like feel like they got, you know, everything they wanted and more. Oh, book a reading via your link, but have to go. Phone is dying. Gratitude, Taylor. Oh, thank you, Chosen. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And yes, I'll talk to you soon. I'm here for you whenever.
All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, oh wait, I see we on Gary.
Of the several online events I have attended, this has been the most informative. Thank you again. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate you. That means a lot to me. I'm like blushing, guys.
Like, this was amazing. And every time that you come on here and you teach, you just make it so accessible and it's not overwhelming. Because I've looked at like several like videos and YouTubes and I've tried other panels and I was just bogged down with information. So you do a beautiful job explaining everything.
Oh, thank you, Courtney. I really appreciate that. Like my whole and another one of my goals is to like make it not overwhelming because I
Mhm.
completely understand that feeling when you like open an astrology book or you go to an astrology website and it's just pages of text and you're like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Like so just like breaking it down in a way that's fun and enjoyable, like I feel like that's like the best way to learn. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you sharing your space with me as always. Like every time I come up here, I just feel so grateful to be able to do what I love, which is teaching. And you have brought all of us together, and you provide the space to do that. So I'm just eternally grateful for you and everyone who joined us today. Like just overwhelmingly, to be honest.
Okay.
Aw, thank you, Michelle.
Excellent.
The
And Taylor
time.
did put her link in the chat. And for
Yeah.
those who were asking about the recording, I do send the recording over to Taylor, but I do also post it on my YouTube channel, which is under TuckedinTarot. So it's the same as the meetup, same as TikTok. If you type it in, Google it, you will find me. The video should be posted, I want to say no later than Wednesday, and then I'll post the link underneath the chat description as well. So that will be available. And for anyone who's missed any of the previous panels, those will be up as well because we do a lot. We have Taylor with the astrology. We also have Miss Laura who is attending. She's a dream interpreter. We have Tammy who does meditations. There's a lot that goes on. We even have someone who teaches on crystals. So those videos are going to slowly be rolling out. So if there's anything that you missed or had to drop out on, you'll be able to go and get caught up. Okay.
Beautiful. Yes. And I also post the recordings as well. I also share them to my website and link you back to Meetup to attend more panels. And if anyone needs anything from, I mean, Courtney and I, like, we're both pretty easily accessible. Just reach out to me in any way, shape, or form. And Black Moon Taylor is what I do every single day. So I'll get back to you within like a day or two. Dream interpreter. I need that as a Pisces moon. Yes, Jess. Pisces moon 1000%. And I strongly, highly recommend Laura. She's fantastic at what she does. She also wrote a book about it too. So, yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Okay. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? Any other comments before we wrap up tonight?
I need to get a class up soon. Yes, Laura. We're all excited. We've been waiting. We've been waiting for your classes, Queen.
Waiting with bated breath because Lord help me, her dream interpretations, the way how she breaks it down, she's another person that makes it very easy to understand and digest as well.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up this evening. Taylor, thank you so much for coming in and teaching us. I get so excited every time that you're on the platform. So I cannot wait for the next one because, yes, there will be a next one. Usually, Taylor will come on about once a month. And we try to get them posted as soon as possible. So just watch for the notifications. And if you all are interested in any of the other things that we are doing, this Saturday is very heavily tarot focused. We have TN Tarot, learning the cards also in practice with Blake of Sapphire Hearts. That is in the morning on Saturday. And then I run my own tarot group as well. On Saturdays, we have Empowerment Tarot, where we have a theme. I pull the cards and then we discuss the meaning behind it. There's really great journal prompts. And then on Sunday, we actually have a tarot practice social hour where you can come, you get partnered up, and you get sent out into breakout rooms for 25 minutes and you can practice giving and receiving readings. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to go ahead and sign up. And we will go ahead and close out this evening. You all enjoy. Thank you all for coming. It was such a pleasure, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.
Hello, everyone.